Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen is more than just a love story. It's a novel full of wit, social critique, and unforgettable characters. From Elizabeth Bennet's sharp intelligence to Mr. Darcy's journey of self-improvement, this novel explores themes of pride, prejudice, and personal growth. But beyond its literary brilliance, Pride and Prejudice also serves as a powerful tool for learning English. How can novels help improve language skills? By reading and listening to stories in English, you can expand your vocabulary naturally, improve grammar and sentence structure, develop better pronunciation and listening skills, understand cultural and historical contexts. In this video, we'll not only review Pride and Prejudice from a literary perspective, but also explore how immersing yourself in novels can enhance your English learning journey. Whether you're a literature lover or an English learner, this discussion will open new doors to both storytelling and language mastery. Stay tuned, and let's dive into the world of Jane Austen while improving our English skills together. Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, 1813, is one of the most famous novels in English literature, known for its sharp social commentary, memorable characters, and witty dialogue. The novel explores themes of love, class, marriage, and personal growth through the story of Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy. Literary perspective. Austen masterfully employs irony, satire, and free indirect discourse to critique the rigid social structures of her time. The novel's central conflict revolves around first impressions versus true character, as Elizabeth and Darcy's initial judgments of each other lead to misunderstandings. Characters. Elizabeth Bennet, the intelligent and independent protagonist who values personal integrity over social expectations. Fitzwilliam Darcy, a wealthy and initially aloof man who transforms through self-awareness and love. Mr. Bennet, Elizabeth's sarcastic father, who criticizes societal norms, but fails to act responsibly. Mrs. Bennet, a comic figure obsessed with marrying off her daughters. Jane Bennet and Mr. Bingley, a contrast to Elizabeth and Darcy, their romance is simple and sincere. Lydia Bennet and George Wickham, a reckless younger sister, and a deceitful officer, whose elopement causes scandal. Events. The novel follows Elizabeth's journey from prejudice to self-awareness, starting with her rejection of Darcy's first marriage proposal. Over time, she learns the truth about his character and actions, particularly his assistance in resolving Lydia's elopement. Darcy, in turn, overcomes his pride and proves his love through his deeds. Their eventual union symbolizes personal growth and true love beyond superficial judgment. Artistic means. Austen's use of irony, Elizabeth misjudging Darcy. Dialogue, witty exchanges revealing character dynamics. Symbolism, Pemberley Estate representing Darcy's true self. Satire, mocking class consciousness and gender roles. Learning English through stories and novels. Reading and listening to stories like Pride and Prejudice helps language learners improve their English by expanding vocabulary and idioms naturally. Understanding grammar and sentence structure in context. Developing listening and pronunciation skills through audiobooks. Enhancing comprehension and cultural awareness through storytelling. By immersing in novels, learners not only improve their English, but also gain insights into history, culture, and human nature. Would you like recommendations for more novels to read? Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice is a novel that goes beyond a simple love story. It is a profound social commentary on 19th century England. Through its rich characters, engaging plot, and refined literary techniques, the novel offers an insightful exploration of human behavior, class differences, and personal growth. Literary perspective. From a literary standpoint, Pride and Prejudice is a masterpiece of realism and irony. Austen's writing style is characterized by sharp wit, precise language, and a keen observation of society. The novel follows a third-person omniscient narration, allowing readers to access the thoughts and emotions of multiple characters, particularly Elizabeth Bennet. One of Austen's key techniques is free indirect discourse, which blends third-person narration with a character's inner thoughts. This allows the reader to understand Elizabeth's changing perceptions of Mr. Darcy without direct exposition. For example, when Elizabeth reads Darcy's letter explaining his actions regarding Wickham, the narration shifts subtly from objective description to Elizabeth's personal realization of her past misjudgments. Characters and their development. Elizabeth Bennet. Elizabeth, the novel's protagonist, is intelligent, witty, and independent. She values personal integrity and refuses to marry for wealth alone, a bold stance for a woman in her time. However, her biggest flaw is prejudice. She misjudges Darcy based on first impressions and is quick to believe Wickham's lies. As the novel progresses, she matures and learns from her mistakes, ultimately realizing her love for Darcy after understanding his true character. Fitzwilliam Darcy. Initially appearing as arrogant and aloof, Mr. Darcy is a man of great integrity and kindness beneath his pride. His major flaw is social pride, as he looks down upon Elizabeth's lower social status. However, his love for Elizabeth motivates him to change. His selfless act of helping Lydia, despite knowing it may never earn him Elizabeth's affection, proves his true nature. By the end of the novel, he overcomes his arrogance and wins Elizabeth's love through humility and sincere actions. Other notable characters. Mr. Bennet, a witty but passive father who prefers sarcasm over responsibility. Mrs. Bennet, a comic figure obsessed with marrying off her daughters to wealthy men. Jane Bennet and Mr. Bingley, a pure-hearted couple whose love contrasts with Elizabeth and Darcy's complex relationship. Lydia Bennet and George Wickham, representing recklessness and deceit, they serve as a cautionary tale in the novel. Key events and themes. First impressions and misjudgments. The novel's original title was First Impressions, emphasizing the theme of misjudgment. Elizabeth judges Darcy as proud and cold, while Darcy initially sees Elizabeth as socially inferior. Wickham's charm deceives Elizabeth, reinforcing the idea that appearances can be misleading. The proposal and rejection. Darcy's first proposal is arrogant and assumes Elizabeth will accept due to his wealth. Elizabeth's rejection forces both characters to reflect on their faults. This moment is a turning point, leading to their personal growth. Darcy's redemption. Darcy secretly saves Elizabeth's family from scandal by paying Wickham to marry Lydia. He does this selflessly, without expecting gratitude or reward. Elizabeth realizes she was wrong about him, leading to her change of heart. Resolution, love and growth. Darcy proposes again, this time with humility, and Elizabeth accepts. The novel ends with mutual respect and love, showing that personal growth leads to happiness. Artistic and literary devices. 1. Irony. Austen's use of situational irony makes the novel entertaining and insightful. For example, Elizabeth mocks Darcy's pride, but she herself is prejudiced, highlighting the hypocrisy in human nature. 2. Symbolism. Pemberley Estate. Darcy's grand home symbolizes his character. When Elizabeth visits it, she sees it as elegant yet welcoming, reflecting Darcy's true personality. Letters. Key revelations in the novel come through letters, such as Darcy's letter explaining Wickham's deceit. 3. Satire. Austen satirizes the marriage market of her time. Mrs. Bennet's obsession with marrying off her daughters is exaggerated to show the ridiculousness of societal pressures on women. Learning English through stories and novels. Reading novels like Pride and Prejudice is an excellent way to improve English skills. Here's how. 1. Expanding vocabulary. Exposure to rich and varied vocabulary in context helps learners remember new words. Example, the novel teaches words like amiable, condescension, elopement, propriety, which are useful in advanced English. 2. Improving grammar and sentence structure. Reading well-structured sentences helps learners understand how English works naturally. Example, Austen's use of complex yet clear sentence structures teaches proper grammar without memorization. 3. Enhancing listening skills with audiobooks. Listening to audiobooks improves pronunciation, intonation, and comprehension. Example, the BBC adaptation of Pride and Prejudice is an excellent way to hear natural English conversation. 4. Understanding cultural contexts. Learning English isn't just about vocabulary, it's also about understanding cultural references. Example, Pride and Prejudice helps learners grasp English humor, class dynamics, and historical customs. 5. Developing critical thinking. Analyzing characters and themes helps readers think deeply and form opinions in English. Example, discussing whether Elizabeth's rejection of Darcy was justified builds argumentative skills in English. Conclusion. Pride and Prejudice is not just a romance novel. It is a brilliant exploration of human nature, society, and personal growth. Austen's literary techniques, including irony, symbolism, and satire, make the novel both entertaining and intellectually stimulating. For English learners, reading and listening to novels is an effective way to improve language skills naturally. By immersing in well-written stories, learners expand their vocabulary, understand grammar in context, and develop cultural awareness, making English learning both enjoyable and meaningful. Would you like recommendations for other classic novels that can help improve English skills? Important quotes from Pride and Prejudice and their explanations. Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice is full of memorable quotes that reflect its themes of love, class, personal growth, and societal expectations. Below are some of the most important quotes from the novel, along with their meanings and significance. 1. It is a truth universally acknowledged, that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. Explanation. This is the novel's famous opening line, and it sets the tone for Austen's satire of marriage and social expectations. The sentence humorously states that wealthy men are always looking for wives, which was a common belief in early 19th century England. However, Austen uses irony here. While society assumes that men seek wives, it is often the women and their families, like Mrs. Bennet, who are desperate for good marriages. 2. She is tolerable, but not handsome enough to tempt me. Explanation. Darcy says this at the Meryton ball, when Mr. Bingley suggests he dance with Elizabeth Bennet. This remark is a key moment, because it wounds Elizabeth's pride and forms the basis of her initial dislike for Darcy. It also highlights one of the novel's main themes: first impressions can be misleading. Darcy later regrets this statement, as he falls in love with Elizabeth. 3. I could easily forgive his pride, if he had not mortified mine. Explanation. Elizabeth makes this statement after overhearing Darcy's insult. She admits that pride itself is not necessarily a bad quality, but she resents Darcy because his words hurt her ego. This quote reveals Elizabeth's prejudice against Darcy. She is unable to see his true character, because she is too focused on her own wounded pride. 4. Vanity and pride are different things, though the words are often used synonymously. A person may be proud without being vain. Explanation. Mary, the bookish sister, makes this philosophical observation about pride and vanity. Pride is self-respect and can be justified, while vanity is excessive concern with others' opinions. This distinction is important in the novel. Darcy is proud, but not vain, while characters like Mr. Collins and Lady Catherine de Bourgh are vain, without true dignity. 5. I am no longer surprised at your knowing only 6 accomplished women. I rather wonder now at your knowing any. Explanation. Elizabeth says this in response to Mr. Darcy and Caroline Bingley, who list unrealistic qualities that a woman must have to be considered accomplished, e.g. beauty, intelligence, musical skills, fluent in languages, and elegant manners. Elizabeth's sarcastic remark criticizes the impossible standards placed on women, showing her independent spirit and wit. 6. We are all fools in love. Explanation. Charlotte, Elizabeth's practical friend, makes this statement to justify people's irrational behavior when falling in love. Charlotte later marries Mr. Collins for security, showing how marriage was often based on financial stability rather than love in Austen's time. Her words contrast with Elizabeth's idealistic views on marriage. 7. You must allow me to tell you how ardently I admire and love you. Explanation. Darcy confesses his love to Elizabeth in a dramatic and passionate way, but his proposal is full of pride and arrogance. He assumes she will accept him because of his wealth and status, which offends Elizabeth. Her rejection forces him to reflect on his behavior, leading to his transformation. 8. Till this moment, I never knew myself. Open Book, Elizabeth Bennet, Chapter 36. Explanation. This is a crucial turning point in the novel. After reading Darcy's letter explaining the truth about Wickham, Elizabeth realizes her own prejudice and misjudgment of Darcy. She acknowledges that she has been just as flawed as him. This moment represents self-awareness and personal growth, one of the novel's central themes. 9. You are too generous to trifle with me. If your feelings are still what they were last April, tell me so at once. Explanation. Darcy's second proposal is much more humble and respectful compared to his first one. Instead of assuming Elizabeth will accept him, he gives her a choice. This moment shows how Darcy has changed. He has overcome his arrogance and now values Elizabeth's feelings above his own pride. 10. I could not have been more wretchedly blind. But vanity, not love, has been my folly. Explanation. Elizabeth reflects on her misjudgment of Darcy and Wickham. She realizes that she was not in love with Wickham, but rather flattered by his attention. Her mistake was not love, but vanity. She wanted to believe in Wickham's charm, because it made her feel good about herself. This realization is key to her character growth. Conclusion. These quotes from Pride and Prejudice reveal the novel's themes of pride, prejudice, self-awareness, and love. They highlight how Austen uses irony, wit, and deep insight into human nature to create a timeless story. By studying these quotes, readers and English learners can improve their vocabulary by analyzing the sentence structures and word choices. Understand cultural and historical context through Austen's critique of marriage and social class. Learn literary techniques such as irony, satire, and character development. Would you like more analysis on a particular quote or another classic novel?